The Lost World: Jurassic Park, directed once again by Steven Spielberg, and to this day it remains the only sequel he's ever made outside of the Indiana Jones franchise. Once again based on a novel written by Michael Crichton, with a cast including Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, Pete Postlethwaite and Vince Vaughn. Story picks up 4 years later after the events of the previous film. Turns out that there was a second island all along, which served as the research facility where the dinosaurs were actually grown and were allowed to roam free. This island has been largely forgotten until now, and Hammond needs to send a small team there led by Jeff Goldblum in order to sort of photograph the place and the animals and make an argument for creating a nature reservation there to leave the animals alone. But as they arrive on the island, so does another team from the InGen company, this one led by the new upstart CEO, who intends to capture some of the dinosaurs, take them off the island and put them in an amusement park in San Diego. Of course, as you may expect, things quickly go off the rails and people begin to fight for survival amongst the fierce dinosaurs. So, as I was watching the film, I kept thinking to myself that it's a fine movie, but it's nowhere near the level of the original film in pretty much any aspect. I don't think it looks as good, it doesn't flow as good in terms of the story and pacing, the characters are less likable, there isn't as much ethical discussions about cloning the dinosaurs and impacting the environment. The one thing there's more of is the action, but I found it to be kind of unimpressive as it's mostly shot in the dark and in the rain, and the dinosaurs are somehow not as terrifying as in the previous film. I think the action sequences and the set pieces are not as inventive as in the first film. And I think that a large part of the problem of The Lost World as a whole has to do with the simple fact that Jurassic Park was the first. It did something new and unexpected. It had a lot of wonder and surprise in it. Whereas The Lost World feels very much like retreading familiar ground. There's a T-Rex again, there are raptors again, they're running around in the rain trying to get off the island again. Now, yes, there are some new things. Pete Postlethwaite's character Roland is my favorite addition. He plays this ruthless hunter who wants to be able to hunt down a T-Rex for sport. And initially he seems like a very one-note villain of the film, but as time goes on he actually proves to be a deeper character. Competent, professional, cares about the safety of his people and even the other team once he encounters them. I like him because he's not black and white. He's a really well done kind of antagonist of sorts. There's also the final act, which is kind of a new thing in its own, with the T-Rex roaming San Diego, which I thought was so-so. On the one hand, yes, it's kind of cool seeing a massive dinosaur roam the residential area of a major city and through the gas stations and so on. On the other hand, though, I think the way that the movie handles that plot is kind of clunky, because it leaves a significant plot hole that is never actually answered. Namely, how the fuck did the T-Rex get out of the cage on the boat? By all accounts, based on what we see, it should not have been possible, or at least the level of havoc he wreaks should not have been possible, the way it's shown in the film. And, you know, I don't want to make it sound like I didn't enjoy the film as a whole, because I still did. I think it's serviceable and fun. It just pales in comparison to its predecessor, and where Jurassic Park was excellent, The Lost World is simply decent.